Questions? Okay, if you're watching the recording of this, I forgot to start recording at the beginning. You should write your name, write the date, the title, and then I'm giving an example here, 9 minus 3 divided by 3. Billy Bob said the answer was 2. And Sally Sue said, well, we should divide first. 3 divided by 3, which is 1. And 9 minus 1 is 8. So now I want to ask you guys, who was right? Why is Sally Sue right? Very good. So division comes first. And there was a period of time, a long time ago, where there were no order of operations. So mathematicians, they would come together and they would argue that they were correct because nobody had established, well, what should we do first? So eventually, people started writing books and everything, and they did establish what we know today as the order of operations. So what's the acronym that we use to remember the order of operations? Did I hear PEMDAS with a P? So we actually use something slightly different. Yeah, so I heard somebody say it, which is GEMDAS. GEMDAS. And I'm sorry, that G looks really weird. I don't know why. GEMDAS. Okay, so we're replacing the P with the G. Because what did the P stand for? Yeah, parentheses, right? So the truth is that there's a lot more than just parentheses that we actually have to do first. It's just that parentheses is by far the most common one, okay? Now, the saying that we use, I'm going to move this up a little bit. The saying that we use to help remember it is, Grandma excused my dear Aunt Sally. Now that's kind of, yes, please. If I'm writing it down, you should probably write it down. Because after all, I already know this stuff. It's you guys who need to really be taking the notes. Which I know a lot of you guys learned this last year and in 5th grade as well. Okay, so in the way I kind of set it up to where we go through the order of operations. Hold on, I'm having to move my camera here. And I'll just move this back a little bit. Is I draw a big pyramid. I'm going to draw it kind of off to the left so I have some space to write over to the right. So I draw a big triangle. I call it a pyramid because, pyramids are cooler than triangles. Alright. Anyways, so at the top goes our G. What does G stand for? Grouping. Grouping symbols and grandma. But grouping symbols. So, what I say is the most common type of grouping symbol? Parentheses. So this is the one you're gonna see. Parentheses. I'm not good at spelling, guys. Don't make fun of me. Parentheses. Alright? That is by far the most common one you will see. However, there are more. Does anybody know any others? Brackets. That's probably... Actually, I wouldn't say that's the second most common, but they're still fairly common. Brackets are the ones that look like this, by the way. Any others? There's actually 3 more, but I would only expect you probably to know one of the 3. Okay, this one is braces, not the type of braces that you put in your mouth, but they're kind of like the curly brackets. They kind of look like that. Yeah, If you look on your keyboard where the brackets are, like on your keyboard, there's also the braces right above it. And I'm going to admit you don't see braces very often, okay? That's one that we know it's there, we know it's an option, but it's not used very often at all. Now, this next one is actually probably the second most common and probably the second most important as well, which is the fraction bar. What the fraction bar does is it divides the problem into two groups. Your numerator, or the top of the fraction bar, is one group. Your denominator, or the bottom of the fraction bar, is your second group. And then the last two are square / cube roots. So you guys will eventually get to the point where there are multiple operations inside of a square or cubed root. So you have to do all those operations on the inside, before you're allowed to do the square or cubed root. All right, and that's it for grouping. And if I'm going way too fast, please tell me, okay? I have a habit of doing that sometimes. Alrighty, so the next letter in GEMDAS is E. What is E? Exponents. Somebody need to play a little bit catch up? It's alright. I'll try to go a little bit slower. Now, something about exponents, though, I'm not going to write it down so you can catch up. When you're going fast and you're like trying to do these problems really fast, or you're like on a quiz or a test or something, and like, you know, you're going at a fast pace, it is really, really common for people to make their mistakes on exponents. Because if you have an exponent like 2 to the third or 5 squared, you have to remember that the exponent, the little number, tells you how many times to multiply the base, or the big number, by itself. Okay? So this would be 2 times 2 times 2. This one would be 5 times 5. Alright, so the next one, MD, we know that's multiplication and division. Now here's the thing, though. Does multiplication always come before division? I think that's you, bud. I'm sorry. There's not much I can do. It is being recorded, so you will be able to watch this recording at a later time if your connection's bad, okay? So don't worry about that too much. Just keep on doing the best that you can. So, I heard somebody say it, and the answer is no, multiplication does not always come before division. I get that it's like first in Grandma Excused My Dear Aunt Sally, so that makes it a little confusing. But the truth is that multiplication and division, they are tied. Okay? And to decide which one to do first, we need a tiebreaker. And your tiebreaker is kind of what Abby said. It's whichever comes first in the problem. And another way to think about that is do the leftmost first. So if the multiplication is left of the division, you do multiplication first. If division's left of the multiplication, you do division first. Or in simpler terms, like how Abby said, whichever comes first in the problem. Now, I really should have said this at the very beginning of us taking notes. If there is a way for you to shorten what I say into your own words, and it helps you, like if that's confusing to you, do the leftmost first. If you want to write like do the one that appears first, that's fine. Okay, you are allowed to do that because these are your notes there to help you. I probably should have said that earlier. Okay, last one is addition and subtraction. They're last in line. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, so guess what I'm going to write after addition and subtraction? Anybody already know what I'm going to write? The exact same thing I did in multiplication and division. Because addition and subtraction, they are also tied. They are tied. And the tiebreaker is once again doing the leftmost first. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording on that.